How about a hand for Bradford? He's been here all day, just doing this over and over and over and over again. I'd want to shoot myself. Thank you very much. I've actually spoken at an affiliate summit. I think this is the 6th time I try to speak. I live in New Jersey, but I like to go to Vegas to speak. There's just always a good excuse to go to Vegas. There's never a bad excuse to go to Vegas. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. I have a lot to go over. I have a lot to cover. It's actually a very broad subject. So I try to put a little bit in there for everything. I know there's a big mix in the room and at the summit of experts, gurus, and people that are novice, and I'm trying to put something in there for everyone. As Bradford said, you have these cards, these pieces of paper that rate the speaker. The last speaker asked everyone to be brutally honest because he wanted the feedback. I'm going to go the other way. And I would ask everyone 10s, and if you don't have a pen, just put your name on here, a business card, leave it up here, and I'll fill it out for you. So we're just good to go. Last speaker, last time in this room. And then at the end of the session, just to keep things moving, I'll take questions at the end if it's okay for everyone, and there's a microphone in the back if you have questions. Other than that, I'm going to stay up here and answer one-on-ones, whatever you want to do. That being said, let's get to it. Customer behavior in a hyper-connected world. This is actually the agenda description in Feedfront magazine, in the materials that you have. It's very long, and it didn't say exactly what I wanted it to say, and they wouldn't actually publish what I wanted to say. So I'm going to change it, so you can cross it out and change it, and call it Clicking Ass. So that'll be the title of this presentation. With everything going on in the world today, with everything just kind of seems to be falling apart in the economy, business is extremely difficult. We were actually just talking a little bit about that and some other people in the room. You really have to get thick-skinned, get really tough to make things happen nowadays. And in this environment, Affiliate Summit and what you people do, it's an aggressive world. You have to know so much, and I think it needed a more aggressive title. Here's an example. Oh, can you guys in the back, the sound guys? Somebody throw something at them. Can you turn the computer up? You ready? There we go.
You're not just going to walk away and give up.
Stuck.
You can get that. That's yours. Nobody else. Get in there and give it some heat. Give it some heat. Give it some heat. Get in there. And you get it. You go in there and you don't get it. You get it. You get it. That's the one right there. You get it.
That's business today as far as I'm concerned. You have to get what's yours. To me, I don't really care what you do, what line of business you're in, what you're selling, promoting, collecting, gathering. The internet and internet marketing is just all about sales. You have to have a sales mindset. I mean, everyone thinks that sales is kind of a dirty word. No one wants to be a salesman or a salesperson. But you have to understand, even though no one likes to be sold, everybody likes to buy. So somewhere along the line, a sale has to happen. These are some of my clients. We work with a lot of mid-sized companies. My company is located in New Jersey. We're 30 people. We're very fortunate to work with some very large brands on a lot of different projects, from everything from SEO, SEM, social, strategy, web development. If it touches the web, we pretty much cover it. We work with a lot of agencies, so on and so forth. But what we don't do is we don't focus on one industry. I learn a lot from a lot of different industries and bring new ideas into industries. You can't look within your own industry to come up with opportunity. You're really just leveling the playing field. If you look outside your little box, you'll come up with new ideas that you can bring in and bring to the table. And that's where a lot of the ideas I'm going to show you come from. I'm going to show you a lot of different industries. I'm a firm believer that successful internet marketing is more about sales and marketing strategies than technological proficiencies and faulty tactics. Whether it's social, whether it's Google, no matter what it is, the technology is very good at getting the message from A to B. What makes a sale is what sits on top, what that message is. It has to make the right connection when it gets from you to them. And that's what my book is about. It has a lot to do with making that proper connection. And that's knowing your customer and knowing user behavior. Besides mine, I tell everyone the greatest book ever written on how to succeed in viral, social, affiliate, search. There's one book out there that will teach you how to do all these things and be successful. The interesting thing about this book is it was written 70 years ago. It's Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is the end-all, be-all Bible of how to succeed in your space, no matter what your space is. You know, these are some of the things that you and I were talking about before, about understanding what you're putting out there, what kind of response it's going to have before you put anything out there. And I'll get a little more into that. But that's kind of where I'm coming from. When I look at user behavior, I do look at eye tracking and time on site and all these other analytical pieces that everyone can look at. But I understand why people buy, what persuades, what influences. When you pull those skills into your skill set, into your toolbox, there's no stopping you. Now, video sells. So here's your customer behavior tip 1. People buy from people, which is why video sells. It makes an emotional connection. Video can do a lot of things. When I say video, or I want to do a video campaign for a client, everyone instantly goes and thinks viral. Yes, I'm going to create a viral video. But you have to understand what the word viral means. In all honesty, if you go to the dictionary and you look it up, it doesn't have its own definition. It says look at virus. And when you look at virus, there's multiple definitions of virus, and they're all very interesting when you think about them from a perspective of business. The first one is a corrupting influence on morals or the intellect. So I found a video, a viral video, that actually fit that bill.
Leave it alone! Please!
So that's, can you just leave the sound up on the laptop? Thanks. That's the Leave Britney Alone guy. I'm going with guy. Very popular. Like lots, I mean, millions of views on this thing. I think he was on a bunch of talk shows. It was just a huge, huge viral video. The next one, the definition is something that poisons one's soul or mind. And they come up with another good one for that. Maybe we'll have you come up front and do that afterwards. I actually met someone at the last affiliate summit in Vegas that knows this guy, which was really interesting, and he was in my session. He still lives in his mom's basement. Go figure. But I've seen him on Jimmy Kimmel. It's just an amazing video. It was wildly successful, shared all over the web. Again, hundreds of millions of people have watched this thing. Very viral. The last one, extremely simple microorganisms. That's Afro Ninja. You can go to afroninja.com and you can buy t-shirts. I don't know why you would buy anything there, but there's mugs and all kinds of swag. And that was a very popular viral video. So here's the thing about viral. These videos were viral, but they weren't successful. Those two words are not synonymous with each other. These videos made $0. These videos were mainstream. These people were on Conan. They were on Leno. They were in front of mainstream people and made $0. The Numa Numa guy still, as of 2 years ago, lives in his mom's basement. Not successful. It's not how many people you're in front of, it's who you're in front of. That's user behavior. These make people laugh. That's great. Anyone can make them laugh. Anyone can make them cry. The real talent is within those that can make them buy. That rhymes, so it's easy to remember. That's a behavior thing, I think. Now this is how people make them buy. Who's familiar with, just a show of hands real quick, the hit TV show The Office? All right, just so I can get a gauge in the room. Who hates raising their hands at these things? Show of hands. About half the room. It's always a tough room at Affiliate Summit. In this clip, these two gentlemen are selling paper to a large company. They're trying to win an account over the big guys. And I really like this, and if you can just crank up the volume a little bit on this one, because there's going to be them talking. But just watch what they do to overcome objections and from a sales perspective.
Where are you from? Yeah, sure, go ahead. Let me talk to you about a few of the other things we can offer. Namely, we know the tax season's coming up, so by April 1st, we can have you fully stocked. We have discount prices on ink cartridges.
3.
And also any forms that you're going to need.
7.
We can custom make them.
Well, I appreciate what you guys are saying, but it makes more fiscal sense to go with one of the big guys.
Sure. That's true. We can't compete with their prices. But let me ask you something. How important to you is customer service?
Very.
Please keep holding. Your call is very important to us.
It's one of the big guys. Been on hold this whole time.
And this is Dunder Mifflin.
Dunder Mifflin Customer Service, this is Kelly.
Hey, Kelly, it's Jim.
Oh my God, Jim, how are you? I wanted to tell you.
Here's my card. It's got my cell number, my pager number, my home number, and my other pager number. I never take vacations, I never get sick, and I don't celebrate any major holidays.
All right, I get it. We got a deal.
All right.
That's how you do it. That's just a brilliant clip. Obviously, it's an exaggeration. But if someone kind of had the cojones to do that, I bet it would be huge. It would work really, really well. So that's the talent in knowing how to sell, knowing how to get what you want against larger objections in an aggressive market. They took the objection and turned it into a negative. They took the positive that the other company had and made it a negative. And that's brilliant. They thought about it just like a Dale Carnegie book. Before they said anything, they kind of knew what the outcome was going to be. So before you post anything, tweet anything, you think about what kind of response you want. And this is a great video that shows you how to do that. Tip number 2, selling requires a transfer of relatable enthusiasm. All buying decisions are emotional. All customers, from a behavioral perspective, every action you're going to evoke from them is emotional. A video, a blog post, an article you're going to write, it has to evoke some sort of an emotion for an action to happen. There's a large company that was brilliant at doing this in the video space, and that was E-Trade. When E-Trade came out with their character, their social character, that E-Trade baby, it was absolutely, positively brilliant. And I'm going to show you just really quick the first 3 commercials they came out with if you're not familiar with it, but also from the perspective of think about how they built this from the bottom up and who they're targeting and what the message is that they want to come across.
A lot of people are like, aren't you too young to invest in the markets? And, you know, A, don't worry about it. You know, I just look young. I mean, you don't know how old I am. And B, I use E-Trade, so check it. Click. I just bought stock. You just saw me buy stock. No big deal. I mean, you know, if I can do it, you can do it. Whoa.
It's so easy, there are 1,000 new accounts a day at E-Trade.
So easy. They wanted, this was back in the day this video came out, where getting people to buy stock online and use these online tools, people were very afraid of it and leery of it, especially when you're talking about financial tools. And they wanted to show people it was easy. And they did it with, it was fun, it was humorous, it was informative, and a baby could do it. I should at least check it out. So it was that relatable enthusiasm that they got to come across. And then this was the second one. After that one went through the roof and took E-Trade to a different level, they came out with this one.
Micromanage your finances, but I will tell you that my E-Trade savings account earns 8 times the national average, so, you know. I mean, it's funny, you know, I mean, the boys are talking about what to do with all this extra coin. I was like, I'm renting a clown. And I did, a Bobo here. And I really underestimated the creepiness.
Earn 8 times the national average. 1,000 new accounts a day.
Know how easy it is. Now what's the return? What am I missing out on if I don't do it? Well, it's really easy to do. What's the return? So now they're thinking they're going to lose something if they don't do it. And then the third commercial, which I'll show you now, is highly, highly targeted. This is actually the last one with this particular baby. Then they went to a new baby, and it actually kind of ruined it, and people don't really watch them anymore, and they don't talk about them as much as they did with this one. So, again, if you could turn it up.
This is weak, man. Frank's trying to not pay me my winnings for the Skins beatdown I just issued him because his 401k's tanking. It's like, dude, you got to grab the reins, man. Get E-Trade, do some analytics, do some research, and take charge so I don't have to subsidize your lack of golfing skills.
But on the night total, you moved your ball.
Frank, it was on the cart path. Why don't you try reading the rules, Shankopotamus?
Take control with one of the most powerful investing
I use the word
machines there is.
Shankopotamus more times than I can count now. But now it really targeted who they wanted to be in front of and who that was going to make a connection with. So they did a brilliant job from start to finish, from the first one out of the gate to the very last one, of targeting, selling, and creating viral success. Their videos, most of them combined, don't have as many views as the Numa Numa guy or the Leave Britney Alone guy, yet they made money. It was huge. It's all about knowing who your customers are and knowing what they want, which is number 3, know your customer. And this one's huge. Old Spice. Typically, historically, I know when I thought of Old Spice, it's the product that my grandfather smells like. I mean, my father smells like. It's kind of older, the white bottle that sits on his dresser. I saw it all the time. You know, and that's what I smell that, and that's what I equate that company to. Well, they want to re-energize their brand, and they want a younger crowd. So they needed to use the internet, and what they really wanted to do is they wanted to connect with men. They wanted men to know that it's not that scent anymore. It's the new scent of a man. So they hired Ray Lewis from the Baltimore Ravens, a football player, who would connect with guys, and created this commercial.
Where's the heart of a champion? Right here. What's inside? A universe where heartbreak and sadness have been replaced by Old Spice.
Old Spice Showtime deodorant.
All in all, I mean, if you know who Ray Lewis is, maybe it makes a little connection, but it was a massive failure. For a brand that size, less than 1 million views, a few thousand comments, there's a lot of videos out there that aren't even selling anything that get those kind of comments. It just wasn't a failure. They was a failure. They really didn't think about who their customer was. They're trying to sell the scent of a man to a man. Men don't care what they smell like. So selling the scent of a man to me is a waste of time. Who should they have been selling this to? Women. Who cares about the scent of a man? Women care about the scent of a man. They went back. They learned from this, which is great. A lot of companies don't look at or use their data, and it just fails, and that's all there is to it. These guys went back and retooled, and they came out with something brilliant, and it was this.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Old Spice, he could smell like he's me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on a boat with the man your man could smell like. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's an oyster with 2 tickets to that thing you love. Look again. The tickets are now diamond. Anything is possible when your man smells like Old Spice and not a lady. I'm on a horse.
This commercial was about as viral can be, and it re-energized a very old brand to be the #1 body wash, #1 product for men now. It was, I mean, look at the difference in the numbers. Enormous. And all they really did, this commercial didn't cost them, probably cost them less, because that guy was fairly unknown at the time, than hiring Ray Lewis. But they targeted to the right people. Now, you really know you've targeted women when your commercial gets spoofed on Sesame Street.
Everybody, look at yourself. Now back to me. Now back at yourself. Now back to me. Sadly, you are not a monster. But if you listen to Grover, you will know all about the word on, just as this monster does. Look down. Back up. Yeah, where am I? Oh, I am on a boat. What is in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It is a clam with 2 tickets to that thing you love. On my nose. Anything is possible when you smell like a monster and know the word on. I am on a horse. Moo cow.
How many commercials does Sesame Street spoof? I mean, that's huge. That was just, no pun intended, but that was a monster for them. It was just a really big deal. That commercial is something you all need to take a look at as something that makes an uber connection with the right customer and the right message. And the success of it was perfect. They got every single thing. The return on investment, through the roof. Completely changed a brand. Huge. Another way to connect, which is tip number 4, is is the expert connection. And a lot of you do some of this already. There's a lot of people at this summit that do this, that are experts and influencers, gurus. There's a ton of them here. Customers follow the leader. So, you know, one of the things we were speaking about early on was, I'm sorry, and I keep pointing to this gentleman, his name, Rito? Rito, I don't want to say it wrong. We're speaking before the session about promoting books and so on and so forth, and how important it is to get the word out there through influencers and leaders, because people follow the leaders. So for those of you that don't know, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. This is Ronnie Coleman. For those of you who don't follow professional bodybuilding, Ronnie is the 8-time winner of the Mr. Olympia competition. He's actually won 8 times consecutively. There's only 2 gentlemen that have done that, Ronnie and one other person named Lee Haney. Arnold Schwarzenegger is considered the best there's ever been, has only won 6 times consecutively. I say only like I could win 1. But Ronnie is considered one of the best there's ever been. He went to go win the record-breaking number 9. No one's ever won 9 in a row, and he lost. 1 week later, he's in my office. At the time when podcasting was really big, bigger than it is now, we had a recording studio in our office. And it's not that Ronnie and I know each other, or we obviously definitely don't work out together. It's not that funny. He endorses a product that a client of mine sells. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Ronnie and this candy bar. I know it's kind of the end of the day, so I'll make this a little more appropriate of a picture. That's the protein bar. It's actually not a candy bar, it's a protein bar. This protein bar has over 30 grams of protein. If your body is not accustomed to taking in that kind of protein, it will rip you up. You won't be able to go far from home by eating these things. We'll leave it at that. This was one of 3,000 products in the catalog that this company had, fitness-type products, supplement products. And this is the only one that Ronnie endorsed. We had a great idea. Let's get him in. Let's talk to him about this loss, but also let's talk to him about things that no one's ever spoken to him about. How did he get into bodybuilding? What did he do before? What would he do if he didn't go into bodybuilding? We did actually a 30-minute podcast, which you really shouldn't do. The attention span just isn't there for a 30-minute. It was a video podcast. But when you have somebody of this size, people tend to watch it a little bit longer, and they did. They watched it till the very end. It was called, Bodybuilding Magazine called it the best interview he'd ever done. It was great. We only spoke about this protein bar for about 30 to 40 seconds. He really didn't even know what was in it. He just signed his name to it. But it became their #1 product. Out of 3,000 products, it went to the front of the catalog. It was sold out constantly. And now, if you go to 7-Eleven, it was only sold in their catalog. Go to a 7-Eleven, go to a supermarket, go to Walmart. It's there now. It just exploded because we targeted the people that would eat it. We knew who the customers were before Ronnie stepped in the door. We knew it wasn't your average person that goes to the gym. It wasn't your just average guy that has a treadmill in his basement. It was fitness enthusiasts, trainers, aerobics instructors, professional and amateur bodybuilders. That's who eats this protein bar and should know about it. They want to know what he does. They want to know what he eats, when he sleeps, when he wakes, what he works out. They want to know everything about him, and they're going to do whatever he does. So we attracted them using YouTube, using search engines. If you type in Ronnie Coleman interview, still to this day, it's a 3-year-old video. It's still #1 in Google. We optimized it for search. We went all out and just crushed it. And it was just a huge home run. I mean, it was off the charts for this company. Major, major success, again, with a fraction of the views a viral video typically gets. Yet every day, people watch it and they comment on it like it's brand new because this guy's an icon. He's a leader and people follow the leader. That being said, most people will come up to me and say, well, if you wanted more people to see it, why did you target the word interview? Why didn't you target Ronnie Coleman video? I didn't want people that wanted to watch a Ronnie Coleman video. I wanted people that wanted to learn things. And you type in the word interview when you want to learn, when you want to acquire knowledge. You type in the word video when you want to be entertained. There's tons of entertaining Ronnie Coleman videos on the web, hundreds, just like this one. Sick. It's 900 pounds. There's only 2 people that I know of on the planet that can lift 900 pounds, and Ronnie did it twice. It's Ronnie Coleman and Bradford who introduced me. Other than that, not a single soul on the planet can do that. So I would not piss off Bradford. But that's entertaining. That wouldn't have had the same result. We've got a lot of traffic, no sales, not quality. And to me, traffic is never been a good thing. I'm born and raised in New Jersey. I was born and raised 15 minutes from here. I've never heard of good traffic, ever. It's about quality, not quantity. Behavior tip number 5. So when we start to look into social a little bit, customers, not people, customers are social beings. Social media has brought about a fusion of technology and sociology. Monologues have turned into dialogues. So from a sales perspective, I'm not speaking one-to-one anymore. You're not speaking one-to-one, face-to-face. You're speaking one-to-many. That's where a monologue turned into a dialogue. And the fusion of technology and sociology, the technology, again, is irrelevant because the sociology piece has been around forever. Forever and ever and ever. Nothing changed. The technology is just another medium. It's another vehicle to get your social influence out there. I personally have used this as an example before, just in discussions. I think cave paintings were the first Facebook pages. People wanted to be social, even back then, to the point where they wrote things on a wall. How many cows I have, or what I've killed, or wives I have, and somebody invented the wheel. There's just a picture of a wheel there. I don't know why it's there. It's just there. But their whole family. Isn't a cave wall, how different is that than your Facebook wall? It's all about you. It's all about what you want others to know, what you want to share. You can probably say the same thing about hieroglyphics or anything else. This is not new. The behavior is there. It's built into what we do. It's in our DNA. To the point where, even driving here, I cannot drive anywhere without seeing these things. Of how many kids I have, and if I have a dog, do I have a cat? These window stickers, these family window stickers. This is social media. People are telling me how big their family is. I don't know why. I don't really want to know. But they feel compelled to share information. And that's why Facebook and every other social tool out there went through the roof. It was right place, right time. The technology, the speed, mobile, everything just kind of sank up perfectly at the right time, which is how every opportunity happens on the web historically. Something explodes because it's right time, right place. Certain things intersect. But we're social by nature. So work with someone's nature. Don't work with the tool. Don't focus so much on the tool. Focus on the behavior of what people like to do. They like to share things with people that they know and people that trust them. So create share-worthy things to allow them to do it, but target the right people. Again, listen carefully, speak strategically. Social is a two-way street, and 2 of the biggest mistakes I see by brands, and I'm not talking about, like a Laughing Cow or a Sara Lee or Acer Computers. It could be them, or it could be a small local business. Brands make the same mistakes, big or small, that I've seen. 2 mistakes. They speak before thinking. You have to, again, think about what you're going to say before you say it. What kind of reaction do I want? Where do I want this to go? And if I'm saying this, could it be misconstrued in any way? Where would it go if it goes wrong? And then hone it. And then the second thing, which sounds very similar but is extremely different, is speak before listening. The perfect example of that is the one we just saw from Old Spice. They use their data. There's a ton of data in social. What do people click on? What do they look at? What do they click on, like? What do they share? What don't they share? What's getting retweeted? All this data is great if most people just look at the numbers, how many retweets, but what was retweeted? Where did it go? Why? And that should lead me down a different path to focus on that behavior. What's the behavior behind the analytics? Anyone can read analytics, but you have to now decipher analytics to create sales and give you a plan going forward. But those are the 2 biggest things I see with brands that they just do not do. Number 7, you have to define your personal value if you're going to influence anyone. As we were speaking, I'm a classically trained artist, drawing, painting, sculpting. That's what I went to school for. Then I got into computer graphics. I really like marketing a lot. I realized that you can be a good marketer without understanding sales, but you'll never be a great marketer unless you understand why people buy and the psychology of selling. So I became a student of sales and melded everything together. As an art student, I had to study up on Picasso. So I read his biography, which is just a great book in general. The man's had an amazing life. But there's a story that stuck with me, not the artist, but the salesperson in me. It's like a Frosted Mini Wheats commercial. So the salesperson in me liked this story. It was a story about Picasso sitting on a park bench just outside the Eiffel Tower. And he was just doing some basic pen and ink sketches. A woman was walking her dog, and she recognized him and said, "Oh my God, would you do a sketch of my dog? I will gladly pay you." Picasso obliged, and 3 seconds later, boom, her dog is an original Picasso. And this is actually a very famous Picasso pen and ink sketch. I've seen it used over and over again. The woman was just elated. She was so happy. "Thank you so much. This is wonderful. How much do I owe you?" And Picasso turned and said, "That'll be 300 francs. And the woman, a little shocked, said, 300 francs? It took you 3 seconds. And without missing a beat, Picasso said, "No, my dear, it took my whole life." That is knowing your value. If you can get to that level, there is nothing you cannot do, period. You will be an amazing marketer when you have that level of value. So since it's very quiet in here now, we'll get into some social behavior rules that I like to show that the rules of social are no different than what we all grew up with. You're judged by the company you keep. If all your followers on Twitter and all your friends on Facebook are people that you, one, don't know who they are, what they do, where they're from, they could be Pakistani strippers for all you know. What's the point? You just have a bunch of people. You're judged by the company you keep. A solid group of people will spread the right message faster. And this is a rule we all grew up with. So it's kind of going back to basics when you talk about behavior. Because you all behave this way. It's not just your customers. You are customers, and you behave the same way. Treat people the way you want to be treated. I look at a lot of affiliate sites, and honestly, I don't get it. I wouldn't know what to buy, how to buy, what to look at first. There's some great ones out there, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them are just throw as much as you can on a page and hope somebody clicks on something and buys something. And hope is just not a strategy. You have to be a little more purposeful and treat people the way you want to be treated. If I went to that website, would I take that action? Would I click on this? Would I buy? Would I trust it? Does it make sense? Think about the sites that you use, the tools that you use, the things that you follow. Why do you follow them? Build that into your strategies. My favorite rule is if you keep doing that, you're going to go blind. But it's not actually blind. If you keep doing the wrong things, you'll become invisible. And I'll give you an example that's actually near and dear to me. It's something that has happened recently. My wife and I were redoing a room in our home, a family room. And we live in a split-level home, and the bottom level is on a concrete slab. We wanted to put down hardwood flooring, but I knew there were some limitations to putting, I didn't know what they were, but I knew there were limitations to putting hardwood on concrete. I knew it wasn't that easy. So I went online and I wanted to learn more about it, and I went online, I typed in best hardwood flooring for concrete, so on and so forth, and there was one website that showed up number one. Now, I didn't buy anything from them because I started to analyze why it showed up number one, because it was just a horrible website. From a behavioral perspective, I guarantee, even though they showed up, they made no money from showing up. They used a lot of keyword stuffing. They used the term hardwood flooring a cajillion times throughout the site. It read like a 3-year-old wrote it. If you want hardwood flooring, we've got hardwood flooring. We've got hardwood flooring in our showroom, hardwood flooring in the back, hardwood flooring on the truck, hardwood flooring. It was ridiculous. I mean, it was just insane. So one, it got them to show up temporarily. They don't show up anymore. That stuff catches up to you when it comes to Google. Google's pretty tough on that kind of stuff nowadays. But it didn't persuade me in any way. So it was a short-term goal to show up that turned into no money. When I look to the left, which is how someone's eyes track, you scan across the top, you look down the center, you go left, you go right, you go back to center. Typically, you'll look left for navigation because your eyes track left to right. We don't track up and down. You don't walk down the street tracking up and down. You'll pass out in about 45 seconds if you do that. Try it. Not out here, someone will steal your money. But left to right, as you're walking down the street, that's what happens. So left-hand navigation actually works well, and it's good that it's there. The issue with this navigation is it was brand names of flooring. I have no idea what brand name flooring I needed. I needed an application. They weren't thinking like me. Then on the right side, there are Google ads. So they put ads on their business website. So from an affiliate perspective, that's wonderful. The problem is this is not an affiliate site. It's a business site looking to sell thousands of dollars worth of flooring. The problem is they use the term hardwood flooring so much, all their competitors were showing up there. And I clicked on one and bought my floors. So for me, it actually was a useful site as a jumping off point. So this guy made 3 cents, but lost a $4,000 sale. You have to think about what the downside is of doing the wrong things from a user behavior perspective. Well, one last thing, sorry, I clicked out too quickly. It also had the stupidest first sentence on the homepage I've ever read in my life. Like the stupidest grouping of words you will ever read anywhere. Even if you're a kindergarten teacher, you will read nothing stupider than what I'm about to show you. This was the first sentence on the homepage. This is what I'm greeted with. Hardwood floor is a material that has fascinated humans for thousands of years. Thousands of years. Wood. It's wood, right? It's made of wood. It's not fire, not space travel. It's wood that has fascinated us as humans for thousands of years. And who, in a business scenario, calls their customer human? Hi, human. I mean, you wouldn't do that if somebody walked into your showroom. And then I started thinking, because these are the things that I do that keep me up at night, is it only humans that are fascinated by hardwood floor? And I can tell you I have an answer. It's not. Because when we put the hardwood floor down in the family room, and my dog ran across it and tried to make a left, that dog was pretty freaking fascinated. It just wasn't happening. Why would you greet somebody with this? I mean, isn't the first sentence on your website extremely important? Isn't that the reason that people in the know don't use welcome to our website anymore? I mean, it's not 1995. You don't have to welcome people anymore. You have to get to the point. They didn't. Massive failure with great organic placement. Massive failure because they didn't think about customer behavior. To succeed online, you need to have a deep understanding of search. I'm going to go through this pretty quick. These are just changes Google has made, because there's other people here that have spoken about SEO and everything else, and I can talk for days. I write all about it. I'm going to go through just the changes in the last 18 months that Google has made from a customer behavior perspective. And search engines do offer, and the last speaker this year said the same thing, SEO offers the best opportunity to convert those with purchase intent into customers, period. Because I only go to Google, you only go to Google when you need something. So here's a little anatomy of Google. Personalization. Customer behavior is influencing search, meaning what I search for. Google tracks my search history. It doesn't just take what I'm searching for right now. It takes everything I search for and tries to make my results better for everything I'm going to search for in the future. It takes my location. You used to be able to turn that off. You can't anymore. Where you're searching from. I can even get down to show me the websites that were updated within the last 30 days. I want to see the newest stuff. That's in there now. It uses my Gmail account. If I'm logged into my Google account, it takes all the emails and the content from those and now uses that as a factor on what results it's going to show me, as well as my activity in other Google applications. So there's behavior. It's kind of scary, actually, but there's behavior at work. It's taking personalized user behavior, which means you better know your customer's behavior. You better know who your customer is, what they want, everything about them to be able to do SEO. Then there's Google Instant. I tried to use something everyone does, just car buying, looking for cars. Google now, based on popularity of users, will give you suggestions. So again, even showing up #1 in search, people might not even get to you because they might be searching for this Infiniti G37, and if they had clicked on it, you would have been there. But then they go, oh, reviews. I'll go look at that. So now the phrase that you're targeting isn't doing anything for you. So you really have to be up on this stuff and what's going on. Google Preview. There's only one reason I'm showing you this. Google has the magnifying glass now where you can click on it and it shows you a preview of the website. What's happening is more people they're spending more time in the search results, less time clicking through to the wrong sites. They're previewing them. They're doing all kinds of things. If your site is slow to load, Google put out some rules and said if your site's slow to load, it's going to hurt your rankings. There's a couple of reasons for that. Google Preview is one because it takes a quick snapshot. If your site's loading, you're going to see that in the snapshot. It'll just say loading, or there'll be nothing there. So if you're using Flash technology, things of that nature, they're using their data. They know if your site takes more than 10 milliseconds to load, you're hitting the back button. The average person, just no patience. They're going to hit the site, wait like maybe 1 second tops, and just hit the back button if they're waiting for things to load. So Google determined, well, if people are just leaving that site and coming back, why do we want that site in the index? Push them down. So check your Google Preview to see if your site even shows up in that preview. Google Local is now Google Places. Major, major change in Google. I have this on a slide a little further on, but I think it's apropos to talk about now. When I started doing this, I started with the web in '94. I started a small web development company with some partners, really when the web became commercial. We were acquired a couple years later with about 200 clients, and then I worked for a big company, working with big companies on e-commerce strategy, when everything had an E in front of it, e-business, e-commerce, now everything's just business and commerce. And the promise of the web back in the day when I started was to take every local company and make them global. You can now compete with the big guys. The web was the great equalizer. Here we are some 16 years later, and that promise has completely flipped around. Now it's to take every global company and make them local. So it's a whole different promise of the web. Everything is about local. So Google Places is a mini website right on Google. Again, even if you show up well, they still may not get to your website because they're going to click on your Places page first, where there's information. I mean, Google's pushing them to find things in their area based on where they're searching from. And they're combining your search listing with your Places page into one listing to give people more to click on in your listing. And most of it is not a click through to your site. And there's a whole page, and they're trying to get reviews. You can get reviews. So if you have terrible reviews, guess what? No one's going to your website when they see the terrible reviews. And I mentioned this at a Search Engine Strategy Summit. They had me do what was called the Crystal Ball panel. It was people that they determined were experts and gurus. It was myself and a couple of other guys from some other large search firms. And everyone was talking about what the future was of search. And no one knows what the future is. In all honesty, last time I had spoken there, which was 2 years earlier, everyone said the future was Second Life. And that really never went anywhere. I thought, and still do think, and I think it's going to be true, reviews are kind of the future of search. Google is going to, there's no reason that Google will not start to use your good or bad reviews to determine where you show up. If they think a load time is enough to drop you down in the rankings, what about a 1-star or a no-star? People hate your site. Why would they want you there? So I said that at this show, and sure enough, about 6 months ago, Google just filed a patent for review filtering. They will be doing review filtering, and it will affect where you show up. So now, reputation management is a form of SEO. It has to be in your SEO mix because you're going to have to focus on that. That being said, all of these changes, Google changed to Google Places because of mobile. To be able, so people from a locational perspective with all these smartphones can actually find things that they're looking for. Google's starting to dominate in that space. When you look at smartphones, 7% market penetration in 2009. 2010, 16%, more than double. 2011, they're talking between 40 and 50% penetration. That's a very short period of time for something to take off that quickly. Every change that Google has made in the last 2 years is because of mobile. So mobile compliancy is something else everyone's going to have to look at from a behavioral perspective. The behavior of people buying these smartphones and using apps to access things and accessing on the go completely changed Google's model. And they're great at following user behavior because no one uses their data better than Google. No one. Google saves every search you've ever made. They have every search anyone's ever made since they opened their doors, since day one. Every other search company, 30 days, 60 days, unless the government asks them to hold it longer. Google holds it forever. They use their data. So watching the things they do is kind of important. So the new Google rules, just to recap, mobile's the driving force, load times are scrutinized, changing of the sites. If you don't change on a regular basis, not design, Google does not care about design, that's a subjective thing. Content, new, optimized, targeted content on a regular basis. Placement is personal. If you don't know who your customer is and what they want and their habits, it doesn't matter if you show up number one, you probably will not get the clicks. Provide value or disappear is pretty much what Google's saying. And that valuable content comes with knowing what your value is to your customer. Again, it doesn't matter if you show up number one in Google for a targeted phrase if no one's clicking through. One, it's not hard to show up where no one's looking. And two, if you're not getting anyone clicking through, then you're measuring the wrong things. I don't care, no one ever remembers, and most of you should know this already, but I hear some of my clients say this, that, well, it's branding to show up on page one in Google, and it's not. No one ever remembers what they don't click on. How is that branding? In a search engine, it's like this. Do you remember the last thing you didn't click on? No one here does. It's not branding. And local is the new global, so which I discussed before. Okay, so I'm going to kind of take this down a little bit and wrap up. There's only 10 tips. Customer behavior tip number 9, always think like a customer. I don't care what you're doing, blogging, podcasting, video. If you don't think like a customer first and build a plan, it's going to fail. So here's an example. I travel a lot. I do 20 keynotes all over the country every year at least. I'm a Hilton Gold member, and I typically will try to stay at a Hilton. So I've stayed here a couple times. So if I wanted to go to Paris, I would go online, and I would search for a Hilton in Paris. I'd go in, I'd type in Paris Hilton, I'd hit the search button, and I'd find my room. Okay, so you guys are a little more in the know than most audiences. I would not find this. This wouldn't even be on page one unless it was a paid ad. So I wouldn't find this, I'd find this. And there'd be tons of that on page one. Now that's not what I was looking for. So in about an hour, I'm going to search again. What should I have searched for? People type in a 3 to 5 word. If you're thinking like a customer and you really want to get to that 3 to 5 word targeted phrase, what is it? Paris, Hilton, hotel in Paris? Right. Hilton Hotel in Paris? Right, exactly. People are very good at finding what they want. These 3 to 5 words, we don't drill down anymore. We don't type in Paris. Oh, no. Paris Hilton. Oh, no. Paris Hilton Hotel. We just don't work that way. We don't think categorically anymore. We just go right to what we want. One more example. Tell you a little story. This is my dog, Holly. Holly's a Jack Russell Terrier. So if you know anything about Jack Russell Terriers, those are those frisbee catching dogs that can jump 4 feet in the air without bending anything. Very, very energy-ridden dogs, and they're full of energy. Very rare picture to see her like this. The other thing about Jack Russells is they're very prone to allergies, skin allergies. They get rashes and things like that. They're very sensitive diets. And the thing that I didn't know, I don't know if it's just my Jack Russell, but my Jack Russell seems to be part goat. Holly will eat anything. And I don't mean any brand of dog food, because she'll eat any brand of dog food. But she'll eat a stick, rocks, paper. I mean, I've seen her eat things I can't even talk about. She eats anything. And since that sensitive skin of a Jack Russell, she ends up getting this in the same place all the time. Right there is this little rash. And I'm telling you, for those that own dogs, it could not be placed any better because her back paw just hits it, and she'll just scratch it till she goes through the other side. It's unbelievable. Pick the dog up, take the dog to the vet, because you don't want the dog to get any kind of infection. We go to the vet, and the vet gives us this antibacterial cream to prevent infection. We go home, we put the cream on the dog eats it. I tasted it, it was disgusting, disgusting. It wasn't like it was Alpo flavored, it was gross. I don't get it, but that's not gonna work. The cream has to be there, but she's just gonna lick it off every time. So we go back to the vet, and dog owners, what does the vet send us home with? The cone. Which personally, I gotta tell you, and I heard a couple people, aw, I always hear the aw. I gotta tell you, funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. I swear, if people had to wear these, I'd hang out at the emergency room all friggin' day, all day. There's something about these things that are just funny. It solved the problem. Holly obviously cannot get to that spot anymore and can't lick the cream off and everything's fine, but it caused another problem. For some reason, this particular dog with this cone on does not move. This is a picture of her on my family room floor at maybe 8 o'clock when I leave for work, could be 5 o'clock when I come home. doesn't move. You'd think she's stuffed on the floor of my family room, which is now covered in fascinating hardwood, by the way. Just an older picture. That's a big issue because it's just very sad. So the vet can't help me, and I can't keep this cone on Holly. So I go online. I remember seeing some Paris Hilton sites, and she has a little dog, and she puts these clothes on it. And I was like, that's perfect, actually, because it will cover that spot, and she won't be able to lick it. She'll be able to lick the shirt. So I go online. I type in dog shirts. It's not exactly what I had in mind. I bought one, but, you know, and if I was here in the hotel, you'd see me at the gym with it. Not what I had in mind. What really should I have searched for if you're thinking from a customer behavior perspective? Shirts for dogs, exactly. And, whoops, boom, it fixed the problem. But it led to one little itty-bitty other problem. If you have a significant other that loves this look on a dog, it gets way out of hand really quick. Halloween circa 2007. The dog looks friggin' thrilled. This is apparently what happens when I travel. Dog never looks happier to see me when I come home from traveling. Here's the last tip. Get to the point quickly. It's not just Google that's measuring load times. Customers are doing it in their minds. There's a lot of stuff out there, and everyone, I mean, think about it. Everyone's bombarded. Blogs and podcasts and video, I mean, so many messages. If you don't get to the point quickly, you lose the person. And when you have to get to the point, it's tricky. You have to get to the point quickly and correctly. Because people are giving you a second or two tops. If they land on your site, you've got the benefit of the doubt. That message has to connect with them quick. And people can misinterpret messages just like that. Need some volume. Hold on. All right, we'll try it again. People can misinterpret just like that. Hey, kid. What do you got? Yeah, come on. Personally, I think it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. But it happens just like that. So I'm pretty much done. I'm getting the final warning now anyway. All I have to say is hopefully you grabbed a couple of nuggets of what I've said. If you wanted to pick up the book at your favorite bookstore, it goes much deeper into it. I'm going to hang around and answer any questions, if anyone has questions now or afterwards. There's a couple of resources here on LarryBailin.com. There's a lot of my speaking stuff, but there's also articles that I write and post on there that are typically published. My company is Single Throw, so it's at singlethrow.com. We are a full-service internet marketing agency. We can handle in-house pretty much anything. I do a ton of consulting, strategic consulting, but we pretty much do everything that touches the web, and then Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thanks for coming to the last session. I really appreciate it. Any questions? You have to go to the mic in the back. Otherwise, if you want to just finish up and then come up here, I'll be happy. I have business cards, a couple other things. I have a book for you, and I have a book for you because you were just like nodding so much. It was empowering to me. So I have a couple of books for you guys. And I have, I don't know how long anybody's staying, but apparently, because I got here today and I'm leaving right after this, I got a lot of free drink tickets. So there's a clap for you. Nice. You'll get some. Here's some. There's a drinker right there. Somebody help her get home. Thank you again, and appreciate your time.